Hey guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today's video is about what I read in September. I had a really good reading month. I read 9 books. Yeah, 9 books. And it was great, and I had a lot of video up. So before I start digging into this, I hope you guys checked out my previous video where I talk about my 1-year daily journaling experience. I'm still very proud of myself because it was a great commitment, but go check out that video and yeah, comment and all of that, ask me questions about journaling, and we're gonna go into this. So I'm gonna start off with the 2 books that I read on ebook, and the first one is Down to My Soul. It is the second book in the series that I read from Candy Ryan, and it was a continuation from the other book, My Soul to Keep. There we go. That particular first book I told you was had some things about it that I wasn't too fond of. The second book, she cleaned it up very well. The characters make actions make sense. It flowed well. The storyline was very dramatic, but also had a very loving, romantic element that I smile about. Now, I love how it ended. I love how it tied up. However, I don't get why we need to be in a book 3 situation, and that's the that's the situation. So I don't know if I want to read a book 3 because I don't think it was necessary. It wasn't. So anyway, leave that. The second book was from Daniel Allen, which is Truth or Dare. Oh, that was a really good, sexy, erotic romance. If you're looking for that kind of in your feelings kind of romance, friends to lover situation, you will enjoy this. This is a story about friends who were friends in college, and 2 are getting married, and they're in the destination wedding, and just imagine just the elements of being romantic and all that, and 2 of them like each other, but they they kind of hiding it, and then something sparked, and they went on to have this affair during that weekend. Let me tell you, there was a particular scene with the dinner table. She was the hell of a scene, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I still love my Daniel Allen. She still know how to spice up romance. If you're not familiar with Daniel Allen, get to know her. She writes really good romance. Now we are going to physical books. So I'm gonna start with the classics. Now, I read the first book in the Harlem Renaissance classic series, and this book was a combination of everything. It's the kind of book that you cannot really pinpoint what exactly genre it is, because it has poetry, it has traditional literature, it has play. There's so much going on in this that it was experimental, and not a lot of people I think have ever touched this. I've never read anything of this kind of writing style, but it touched on race in a way that makes you think, that makes you see like this kind of journey of people back in that time, and their hopes and things that they were into. Apparently that was my alarm clock, guys. I was supposed to be up now. So with that said, I did a full review on this, and definitely go check it out. Then the next book that I had read also from the Harlem Renaissance era is Quicksand, and oh, Nella Lawson. If you are not familiar with her, get to know her. She is an amazing author that can really write a good story in so few pages that will definitely get you thinking, and it's so relevant to now. This is a book that was written back in what, the 20s, late 20s and 1920s, late 1920s, and she talks about this character in this book that is somewhat running away from who she is, running away from society woes, and how it all led to a decision that she has to live with. And it's that idea, no matter how far you run, you are who you are, and you have to live with decisions that you made. and you have to learn to cope with society woes that you cannot escape. And I love this. Also did a review on this, and I really think you should definitely check out my review on this. And yeah, so I was here for this, guys. This author is amazing. Also, if you haven't read Passing, read that one too. Now, the next book to round out my classic was a read-along that I did, Buddy Reader did with Dee Dee from Brongaroo. This is Oliver Twist. Now, Charles Dickens and I, Charles Dickens and I have a very, love-hate relationship, but I've been loving him, lately because he's been doing it. This book was so good. It dealt with a young boy who mother passes away at an infant age and doesn't know much about his mother, her story, or anything. And he is found himself in very bad situations as often, and living with thieves, who are trying to train him to become a thief as well, and how he went against it and found himself amongst people who were much nicer and treated him well, and he loved that environment, but still can't escape these criminals that want him back, But as the story goes on, you get to know his family, his background, how he became, his mother, and how certain things was hidden from him that could have made his life much better. The writing in this was so nice because it didn't feel like it was any fillers in this, like a lot of his stories that were traditionally wasn't a book, was more of was a newspaper series, and versus this didn't feel like it was just like it flows. It didn't have that extra stuff, unnecessary things in there. I love the adventure. I love the chase and the criminal activities and things that was going on. It made the book a page turner. It also made the book easier and quicker to read compared to a lot of other classics where it can drag and take you a little while to read. This one I got through it really quickly and I enjoyed it, and I loved the ending because he always pissed me off at every book I read in the ending, but this ending was perfect. Loved it. Yes. Then I read the only short book short story collection, and this is Lot, and this is a collection of stories that really grabbed me. There were so many in there that I absolutely love, and I love how the author tell these stories of people's relationship with their parents, and how that can influence some of the decision they make as an adult, and how some stories was done where you wanted more and you felt like this definitely could have been a full-length book, and how some story he abruptly and it ended in a way where it left you thinking and wondering about stuff. And I love books like that give you that afterthought feeling of, wow, like really, like that's just so powerful. And there's some stories that is not, I wasn't jumping on my skin for, but overall this is a really good short story collection, and I absolutely love it. I'm glad I was able to get this off my bookshelf that's been on my TBR shelf for over a year, and I have another one that's older that was a gem too. So then my Road Down the Luster. This gave me a feel for another book that everybody knows, because as soon as I said that, people come and say, yep, that's it. This is a complicated character and a book that I feel like wasn't really target for me as an audience. I think this is a certain kind of person is gonna love this book. It's gonna love the tragic tale of a young woman who inserted herself in a married couple having an affair with a man, and they're adopted a black child, and becoming friends with that black child, mostly through things that a black child would struggle with living in a white family. Now, it was bizarre. It was a character who is just going down was just a train wreck, and but wanted to be noticed, wanted to be seen, and wanted to have this moment amongst people, because she was alone. She wasn't didn't have anybody, and it to me it's that self-worth and belonging that she was struggling with. But it's just I wasn't a fan of how she was doing it. I wasn't a fan of a lot of things, and there's certain books that deal with mental health that I can't. I struggle with reading because it just seemed like they would throw so many things and so many negative aspects to the main character that it feels over the top. It feels so not quite necessary. Even though there's a message in there, there is some, you will get a positive messages at some point at the end, but it's just so much negative that is just thrown in this story that it wasn't my cup of tea. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for as far as this, but it's just, I don't think I was the audience for this. And so that that was a issue for me, but I got it. I got the gist of it. I got the message that's supposed to be the author wanted to deliver in this. But I'm just being honest, guys. Now the next book is, I'm gonna blame myself for this one because I just didn't look it up, and that is This Morning About It. This is one of the 6 books that's on the Man Booker shortlist. I didn't realize this was a freaking trilogy. And this is the last book in the trilogy. With that said, reading this story, I just didn't get the main character. I didn't get her. I just didn't think the things she was doing was just ridiculous to me. It was just her family shenanigans, and the things that were happening were interesting. I liked that dynamic, but it was also the main character I felt disconnected to her in a way that I didn't get to really appreciate the storyline that much, because I think had I read maybe the other books, I would have known why she thinks the way she thinks, why she behave the way that she behaves. And so this one was one of those where I feel like I can't really rate it. I think this is probably the second book I've never rated. It's more of I would just take it as one day I will go back and start with the beginning of the first book in the series and reread this to get a better feel for the book, because it disconnected, and it didn't feel like this was a trilogy, to be honest. Because had I felt that this was a trilogy early on, I probably would have put it down. I wouldn't have finished it. But I didn't realize it was a trilogy until I got finished. I was finished with it, and I decided to look up, because sometimes I do that where I look up the author. I look up just to get like what's the inspiration and see. And then when I did that, it was a big old trilogy, and I was like, the hell? And that's when I realized, oh, boo boo the fool right here. Didn't know. And that's because I went into this book blind, guys. I didn't look up the information. I didn't realize Man Booker did trilogy, to be honest. So this one was a oops. And then the last book that I'm still gonna do a full-on review of this book. I'm gonna group it with this other book that I'm currently reading, and this book I was holding in at the end, trying not to cry, because that's how this book just really punched me. And this is Love and Donovan by Bernice L. McFadden. And I love this author. If you are new to my channel, you've probably never seen a review, but I have reviewed other books in the past. In my blog, I've reviewed quite a few books on my blog as well, but I still have a lot of books from her collection that I need to read. And this was sitting on my bookshelf for probably 3 years, and I am trying to get through my TBR shelf that you guys have seen in the previous video. And I'm trying to pick books throughout the shelf this year, because that was my goal. I did suck a little bit, but I did get 2 of them off this month, so hey. But this book is like the perfect example of how generational trauma and your relationship with your parents can dictate how you love. That's the best way I could sum this book up. And I'm going to leave it at that, but I would say, if you have this book, please read it. It is worth every page, every turn to read this story. And it will hit you in a way that either you relate to it, or you get that thinking of what if, or if you could turn back time, or if you could change something, or how many people in your life you may have encountered like Donovan and didn't know. So I'm gonna leave it at that, but I'm gonna do a full review, guys. I'm gonna do a full review. So that is all the books, guys. I got through this, and I'm excited for October because I do have a week off, and this is how I end up reading 9 books in September as well. I did get a week off work, so I had more time. So I'm gonna be doing the same. Try to do as much videos and read as much in October, because November is NaNoWriMo, and I know I'm not gonna read no 9 books during that time. But if you've read any of these books, let me know how you feel. I love opinions, you know, whether you love the book or not. Just, you know, let's have a little discussion in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a good day, and thanks for watching.